Robinson leading the way. That is Charles Hicks and Kai Robinson.
Yeah, we'll spend the first lap talking you through the athletes in the men's 10,000 meters here. Like you said, we just saw 19 of the best times ever run in the NCAA in the women's. Expect to see it again here in the men's heat. Bib number 1 is Charles Hicks of Stanford. Bib number 2, Kai Robinson, also of Stanford. Bob Liking of Wisconsin. Number 3, Alex Meyer of Oklahoma State. 4, Victor Kiprop of Alabama. 5, Austin Vancil of Colorado. 6, Scott Beatty of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. And 7, Logan Reese of the Idaho Distance Project. 8, Drew Bosley of NAU. 9, Patrick Kiprop, Arkansas. 10, Chris Devaney of Loyola. 11, Will Smith of Gonzaga, not the movie star. 12, Ryan Martins of Loyola. 13, Yassine Gurmala of Gonzaga. And 14, Jordan Guzman of Tin Man Elite, otherwise known as the Aluminum Boys. 15, Ryan Johnson, Air Force. Charles Sweeney, Colorado. Tianyu Chen of China. 18, Abraham Longasiwa of Hofstra. 19, Ian Kibawat of Louisville. Bib number 20, Christopher Ali, PDC. 21, Devin Hart, another Stanford Cardinal. 22, Santiago Prosser of NAU. 23, Gilbert Boyd running unattached. 24, Victor Shitsama, we saw him earlier in the steeplechase. He's bib number 25. Hopefully he's just doing some pacing. Wow, 3K steeple and 10K would be an evil double. Jacob McLeod of Arkansas, bib number 26. His teammate Miles Richter, 27. Rory Leonard of Oklahoma State, 28. Brian Fay, the Washington standout, 29. Peter Lynch running unattached, 30. And Zach Kirk of Portland, 31.
All right, coming up on the first 2 laps being in the books, 25 all told.
And we are going to be joined in the booth here by Emily Venners.
The winner in the number 6 time in NCAA history, Emily Venners, a senior at Utah. Emily, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of speechless, honestly.
The 3rd time you've ever run the 10K.
Yeah.
Mountain West, Mount Sac a year ago, you went 33:07. What led you to believe that this time today was possible? I know you had a great indoor finish, 5th in the 5K.
You know, I was telling him down there with ISTAT that, like, something has just changed in my head since the start of indoor season, and I've just kind of got a new mindset of just not really thinking during the race and just going and running free and not getting in my own head, because I used to do that, and I think that was stopping me. So, you know, I literally just don't think. I have like one song on repeat in my head, a lyric, and I just repeat that over and over, and I just go. And then with 8 laps to go, I threw my gloves off and I was like, let's go. Because I heard someone saying like 32:05 pace, and I was like, I want to get under 32 minutes, so like it's go time. And then when I started clicking off 75, 74s, I kind of was just like, holy crap, I feel really good. I'm not going to stop. And yeah.
Again, you were 16:06 at the midpoint at 5,000 meters. Again, you were talking about thoughts going through your head in a 25-lap race. What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, at that point, I was pretty happy with where we were at pace. I did want to negative split it. I kind of had talked about that with my coach. That's kind of how I like to run races. So then I feel better in the second half. And yeah, ultimately when I heard 16:06, I was like, that's great, you know, whatever, 32 low pace, I can wind it down from there. So I was pretty happy with that, and I was feeling super comfortable. I hadn't taken over, maybe I had, I don't know when I took over the lead, but yeah, I was feeling comfortable and just going with it.
You talked about the gloves. 50 degrees, a very nice, comfortable night in the Bay Area. Why did you go with the gloves, and is that the norm for you?
Yeah, actually, like, I kind of have Raynaud's, so like my hands get really cold really easily, and I practice with them on all the time, like when it's even 50 degrees. Just comfort for me, and I knew I could always throw them off if I wanted to, so I'd rather be like a little bit warmer to start and then throw them off.
Is there anything workout-wise that really gets you ready for a 10K since you've only run it twice before?
No. Honestly, I decided last night that I was going to run the 10K. I was planning to run the 5K, and then at 7:30 p.m. I went to my coach and I was like, let's do the 10K actually. Just like coming off of indoor, I was I wasn't sure if I was really ready to start racing again. You know, you come off of like such a high from nationals, and then it's a quick turnaround to go to outdoor. But yeah, I think just being a 6th year and like having all the miles under me, I just felt more confident that I would be able to run a PR in the 10K today. And yeah, that's what I did.
The All-American finish in cross country, how did that get you in the right mindset for indoors, All-American, and now outdoors running this 31:48?
Yeah, cross country, like just to start, like exceeded my expectations, honestly. Yeah, the goal for me going into cross country was just to like finish out my last year on a high note, you know, place as high as I could, help my team out, get the highest finish in Utah history, which we did as well. And yeah, that just kind of like opened my eyes to like, wow, okay, I'm finally here, like competing at the top, and like this is it for me. And I want to make the most of my last year and like represent Utah the best I can, because it's just been an amazing place for me.
It seems like some of this is catching up to you. When do you think you're really going to get hit with what you did today? 31:48, number 6 all-time in Division I.
I don't know. I don't know.
Emily,
Now I crossed the line and I was already like in shock, kind of. So.
Emily Vinters, a school record by over a minute at Utah. Division I, number 6 time in history, 31:48 for the big win here at Stanford. Emily, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, the men's 10K on the track, and again, a wonderful moment for our women's champion tonight, 31:48, Emily Vinters from Utah. And we're only 6 laps down. It seems like so much can happen, but so little happen on the track actually in the 10K, because it is such a long race. So she talked about just trying to get one song in her mind, just replaying that verse or that lyrics, and that worked for her tonight.
Yeah, wow, what an incredible race by her.
All right.
Track and field history here at the Stanford Invite.
31:48 for the win for Emily Vinters, the number 6 time in D1 history. And she leads a procession of 19, again, under 33 minutes.
Unbelievable racing out here. And we still have the men's 10,000.
All right.
They came through the mile in 4:29. I was watching that. So just about 14-minute pace for 5K, 28-minute pace through 10K.
And again, we saw some of these athletes were entered in both the 5 and the 10, and Emily talked about hers was sort of a last-minute decision today. But I think Kai Robinson, Charles Hicks were definitely destined to run this 10K here this evening. Only run this distance maybe twice or 3 times in the season, want to get that top 48 time, and they're most likely going to be dialed in and do that tonight with some pacing help from their friends on the West Coast from Washington.
Yeah, as we just saw, this is the place to do it. Perfect weather here in Palo Alto if you want to run a fast 10,000 meters.
Charles Hicks, the junior from Stanford. Kai Robinson also in his 3rd year eligibility-wise for the Cardinal.
Hicks, you mentioned the 2-time defending Pac-12 champion. Stanford Cardinal always dominant in this event. And sure enough, it is Hicks and Robinson hanging out up front, joined by Bob Liking.
So Brian Fay takes the field through the metric 2 mile in just over 9 minutes. 8 laps down, now just less than 17 remaining.
Right on 28 flat pace. That is, you know, if I hadn't seen the race we just saw, I'd say that's a little bit aggressive. 28 flat for the men's 10,000. That would be a U.S. qualifying mark for several of these guys. But we just saw a just incredible race in the women's 10,000. So anything can happen.
Right. And that was the distance from home, 8 laps that Emily Venters said, okay, we're on it. Threw off the gloves and threw down the gauntlet. And again, 31:48, number 6 all time. Just a handful of runners have run the distance, the women's 10K, under 32 minutes, and she joins that select group. And still leading the way, number 29, Brian Fay, running for the Washington Huskies.
Yeah, I'd assume Brian's doing some pacing work for his Huskies, but he's got a 28:22 10K PB. Also 13:16 in the 5K. He was 8th at the NCAA indoor mile. Won the West region in cross country and was 13th at nationals for UW. One of the like 17,000 guys on their team that's broken 4 in the mile. It's not even an accomplishment for Washington anymore. That's just the standard. Really great program by the Powells.
And you talked about practice sessions at programs like that. You said, okay, you know what? You're going to lead the way today. We're going to all just follow and trade off the workload, trade off the pacing, and really get everybody, it seeming like, dialed in at what it takes to run sub-4. Almost from any type of race.
Very helpful to have teammates to work off of, as we have here with Stanford. Robinson was 7th at the indoor 5K, Hicks 9th. Both ran right around 14 minutes, so can easily do that here again. Keep in mind that was indoors at altitude on a 200-meter flat track, so to be able to do that in this kind of weather, in that California cheat code conditions, as I like to say, just beautiful weather out here in California. We'll expect to see some fast times by the Cardinal duo.
So Brian Fay took the field through 4,000 meters in 11:15. With the Stanford athletes tucked in behind him. Had an opportunity to talk to Kai Robinson at Boston University after he ran at record-breaking 5K during the indoor season. And I see we're at 49 now. We've dipped below the 50 mark. All right, Brian Fay still in charge. So Hicks and Robinson with Bob Liking from Wisconsin in the number 4 slot.
Yeah, magic number for 28 minutes is 67.2. And that's about what we are splitting up front. A little bit of waiver here and there. $65.7 on that last lap for Robinson, $67.6 for Hicks, so probably more in that 67 range, maybe a little bit of variance there in the timer. Hanging around at the 67 mark nonetheless.
And as far as taking a look at the field, definitely a different look than the women's race. The men's 10K, we got about just over a dozen or so single file, slight break in the action, about 10 meters back to a second group.
Well, this is what the women's race looked like early, just before, in the earlier stages. By the end, I think we'll see very similar action to what we saw in the women's race, which was just, women scattered throughout the track in groups of 2s and 3s, trying to do whatever they could to bring it home. Still in the early stages here of the men's race, so the men still feeling pretty good. A lot of guys still ambitious being up in that lead group.
Yep, coming up to 5,000 meters at the end of the back straight, just going to be over 14 minutes. And Fay, it looks like he's pulling aside, saying, good night, guys. It's all up to you. Just over 14 minutes for our leaders now, Hicks and Robinson.
Last year, 5 men in the NCAA broke that 28-minute barrier. All 5 of them did that on this track at the Peyton Jordan Invitational, which will be happening here in about a month. Adrian Wildschut ran the fastest time with that 27:38. And 3 Stanford boys of the 5 guys that went under 28, Charles Hicks, Cole Sprout, and Kai Robinson. So we have Robinson and Hicks in this race looking to do it again. as it's Kai Robinson who is unafraid to take some pace and do some work to try to chase sub 28, or at least enough to make sure that they guarantee their ticket to regionals, but they're going to be looking to do a little bit more than that.
It's got to be a pretty good feeling just to be the pace setter for the first 5,000 through just over 14 minutes, and you just sort of step off to the side and then jog back down the track.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like to jog a 14-minute 5K. I couldn't tell you.
Well, I tell you, the rest of the distance is going to be all business. Our lead group right now, 9 runners, with Robinson and Hicks from Stanford leading the way.
Yeah, just a touch off 28 flat pace right now. But as we've seen time and time again in the 5Ks, and as we saw in the women's 10,000 with Emily Venters, the best 10,000s are run with negative splits, staying relaxed. She came through at about 32:20 pace, really started ratcheting it down throughout the end of the race until she ran that 31:48. So I would expect some of the guys in this lead group to be able to run a little bit faster than what they're doing right now. Bob Liking of Wisconsin sitting in 3rd. In 5th is Victor Kiprop of Alabama. There's a Razorback up there as well. Didn't get a bib number there. I think it's Patrick Kiprop.
And is that Tulsa in the number 5 slot, I think?
Scott Beatty.
Yep.
Scott Beatty got to announce him at the American Indoor Meet. Placed first in the 5,000, ran 13:52 with a great close, was 4th in the 3K, 8:01. He's run 28:19 in this event. Tulsa, not usually your blue chip kind of distance program like you have from Stanford, but the Golden Hurricane have just gotten so much better year after year and have really become a distance powerhouse. Very quietly, though, in Tulsa, usually overshadowed by Oklahoma State. But Tulsa really getting better and better year after year, has begun to just absolutely dominate the distance events in the American. And as you see, they can mix it up with the big boys here, as Scott Beatty is sitting in 6th place in what could very well be the fastest 10,000-meter race in the country this year.
And now it looks like our lead group has sort of joined together, the big group up front, 9 with 3 others, so almost a dozen, sort of loosely knit. Leading the way again, Hicks and Robinson from Stanford at the front.
Yeah, that's definitely a good sign that it has slowed up a little bit up front. Brian Fay did much of the early pacing really well, but a little bit harder to do if you're Robinson or Hicks, and you know you are expected to do the work, but there's 8 guys sitting behind you making you do it for them, so they're profiting off your work.
Working kilometer number 7 currently.
.28 flat pace would be a little bit under 17:55. So we're about 28:10, 28:15 pace here. Bob Liking of Wisconsin continuing to sit in 3rd place, letting the Stanford boys do the work and just tucking in that red singlet of Wisconsin. He's a 28:47 10K athlete, but has run 13:35 in the 5K, so I would expect 28:47 to be a reasonably approachable mark. He helped his team get 3rd at the NCAA Indoor DMR, and then did his work at the Big Ten Indoor Championships, was 3rd in the 3K and 4th in the 5K. Also an All-American in cross country. That's Bob Liking sitting in 3rd for the Wisconsin Badgers.
All right, it's still Robinson and Hicks, 1-2. And I mentioned Kai Robinson's run at Boston University this winter, where he went 13:11:53. And came back to win the 3K at Ken Shannon in 7:42, so he does have some speed in addition to being able to go the long distance here tonight, and also a 3:55 mile.
Patrick Kiprop, the athlete in 4th, running for Arkansas in the white singlet, a transfer from Fresno Pacific. He placed 6th in the 5K. NCAA Indoors, ran 13:45, 3rd at SEC's in the 5K. Was also a cross-country All-American this year, finishing 24th. Won the South Central region which I will say is probably the weakest region in cross country, but winning a regional cross country meet, definitely nothing to be frowned upon, especially when you follow it up with an All-American finish. He was 14th at this event, NCAA Outdoors last year, so really talented 10K runner here. 28-21, remember, is his PB, so he's probably feeling pretty comfortable, and he looks at sitting in fourth with that long loping stride.
Lead group, 9 runners. We've not really wavered from that core group. Seven to go. Men's 10,000, the invitational section.
Well, this is about the time Emily Venners took the gloves off and dashed away to run the 6th fastest time in NCAA history. What are we going to see out of the men? I don't think we'll quite see the fireworks we saw in the women's race. Emily Venners, just incredible run by her. 16 women under 33 minutes. Possibly, and I'll stand by this, I haven't checked my facts yet, but I think overall the fastest race in NCAA history right there.
Depth-wise, I think you are definitely correct. And slight change in the order up front. Victor Kiprop moving into the number 3 position. The Cardinal runners have switched order, Robinson and Hicks. And now Bob Liking back in the number 4 spot.
Drew Bosley, got to mention him, the new indoor 3,000 meter record holder, ran 7:36 for NAU. He's sitting back in the chase pack with his teammate right now, Santiago Prosser. Likely just hanging out, knowing that this is what we have to do to get a regional mark. You had an incredible indoor season, so possibly doing what the Oklahoma State women did in that first heat and said, hey, this is the time that we think will automatically get us to regionals. We'll worry about racing when we get there.
So we have Patrick Kiprop and Victor Kiprop representing Alabama and Arkansas, 3rd and 4th behind Robinson and Hicks. There's really not a whole lot of breathing room between these first 9 runners.
No, but that's what they want. They're just tucking in on the rail, letting everybody else do the work. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these athletes we haven't mentioned here in these last 3 or 4 athletes here have some wheels. And as we say that, we've got a little bit of movement with the Alabama athlete. That's Victor Kiprop. Victor Kiprop of Alabama has moved his way into 4th position on the track, looking smooth, looking comfortable, looking under control. He's a 28-15 guy, won the SEC Indoor Track and Field Championships in the 5K, 4th in the 3K. Did not run at the NCAA Indoor Championships, but won the South Region Cross Country Championships. Didn't quite have his best day at Nationals with a 29.52 for 66. Would have liked to have been All-American there, but was 23rd in this event. At Outdoors last year, again, just as a guy who's done really well in prelims, really well in preliminary rounds, was 3rd at the 10K in prelims, but hasn't quite followed it up with national class results. I'm sure that's something he's hoping to change this year with his outdoor season. Step 1 is qualifying, which he is en route to do right now.
All right, 22:34 at 8 kilometers. They're about to put another one into the books. It's in the realm of the high school metric mile right now. 4 laps remaining. Kai Robinson, Charles Hicks, Kiprop and Kiprop from Alabama and Arkansas, with Beatty from Tulsa in the number 5 position.
That is Lynch as well in that group. Running unattached. Smith and Reese as well, I believe. Right now we're en route for about 28:10 pace. If they kept exactly this pace, they're right around 28:10. I would expect to see a little bit of ratcheting down at the pace, especially with the guys. We'll see some really quick last couple of laps here. We saw Emily Venners really just crush the whole last 3,000 meters. The guys, I would guess, would wait a little bit later before they start pulling it down. But as a result, we'll probably run significantly quicker over the last lap or 2. Especially with this many guys in the field, somebody's got to have some gas here
Sure.
going into the last mile.
And again, Venters made that early commitment, whether it was in the visual of throwing off the gloves or just time-wise kicking up the tempo. She definitely committed 8 laps out, but now we are 3 down to the finish. Hicks, Robinson, Kiprop, the lead group of 9, and our runners who are about to be lapped, stepping out in the outside of lane 1 into lane 2, letting our leaders cruise through along the rail.
Robinson and Hicks of Stanford have been doing much of the work, making sure that their home meet lives up to its expectation, as Victor Kiprop of Alabama has decided to go to the front. Patrick Kiprop of Arkansas on his heels, and the 2 Stanford men are both game. Robinson and Hicks probably thankful that somebody else is starting to do a little bit of the work here, as they've been doing a lot of it since Brian Fay finished his rabbiting duties at 5,000.
And the 1K to go mark is when they made their move, 1,000 meters, 2.5 laps out. Coming up, 2 laps to go for our leaders. Kiprop.
Beatty and Liking still in that group.
So final 800 meters. Not the time you want to miscount the laps.
No, funny to watch the PA announcer correct the official there, but the PA announcer had it right. 800 to go, or for the leaders, we have more like 600 meters to go here as they come through the 200-meter mark.
How many more gears do the leaders have?
I'd say we're going to see 2 more attacks. We'll see 1 more guy go at probably 500 to 400, and then maybe 1 more guy can try to bring that back. But we'll see if that second guy can time the move correctly, as that is always the challenge here.
And the other question, will they have to deal with lap traffic? It looks like they probably will, as the lap runners looking back, giving our leaders the space along the rail.
And here we go with the lap to go. We have 63 seconds to break 28.
Kiprop, and Hicks. 1, 2, 3.
Hicks is known for some closing speed. Let's see if he can bring it home for Stanford. Kiprop of Alabama now moving into the lead. Scott Beatty also with some serious closing speed, sitting back in 7th, but he looks like he might be on his limit unless he can really make a move here. Victor Kiprop of Alabama taking control, 200 meters to go. He made the move, but can anybody else respond?
Victor Kiprop from Alabama, Roll Tide, coming up final 100 meters.
Hicks trying to do something out of 3rd. He's trying something big here. He just slammed on the gas pedal with 100 meters to go.
Does he have enough track? Here comes Charles Hicks.
The Stanford fans all on their feet, hoping to see a Cardinal victory, but Victor Kiprop is holding back.
He's going to get it.
Field advantage.
Charles Hicks.
Victor.
Sub 28.
With the dab across the finish line, taking the win for Stanford.
You talk about timing in the kick. He couldn't have timed
I
that
called
any
it part
better.
of 2 moves, right?
Couldn't have called that any better.
Wow, what an attack there by Hicks to take the win.
And friendly rivals as Charles Hicks leads a group of quick 10K runners tonight here.
And the Stanford crowd erupted, as they should. Great run by Hicks, defending the home track. Getting it done here at the Stanford Invite.
So the top 5 under 28 minutes, as the winner goes 27:57. So that lead group, that core group of 9, stayed together through late into the race. And we have 5 of those finished within 2.5 seconds.
Well, it should go without saying, partner, that was the #1 time in the NCAA. We expected it from the top. 28:22 was the top mark from Raleigh Relays. Well, we just got 12 guys under that here at the Stanford Classic, as he is being asked to prom by some high school athletes down here, it appears. Some high school boys shooting their shot with Mr. Hicks. Always a good time out here in Palo Alto.
What a finish to the men's 10,000.
And that concludes our invitational section of the meet. What an incredible day. We saw 2 NCAA leads, Charles Hicks and Emily Venters, highlighted by Emily Venters, getting 6th fastest time in NCAA history with that incredible 31:48 run for the senior from Utah.
And we'll be back with the final 2 races of the evening, 10,000 meters for the rest of the field, live from Stanford.